Jam. Toon Jam.
Hello and welcome to Toon Jam. I am Matt.
And I'm Jay.
And today we are talking all about the Critic. Maybe you remember it, maybe you don't. Here's a bit of information about the Critic. It's an American primetime animated sitcom revolving around the life of New York film critic Jay Sherman, voiced by actor Jon Lovitz. It was created by writing partners Al Jean and Mike Reiss, who had previously worked as writers and showrunners for seasons 3 and 4 on The Simpsons. The Critic had 23 episodes produced, first broadcast on ABC in 1994 and finishing its original run on Fox in 1995. Episode featured movie parodies with notable examples including a musical version of Apocalypse Now, Howard Stern's End, Honey, I Ate the Kids, The Cockroach King, which is a play on The Lion King, Abe Lincoln, Pet Detective, and Scent of a Jackass and Scent of a Wolfman, as in Scent of a Woman. The show often referenced popular movies such as Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and The Godfather, and routinely lampooned actor Marlon Brando and actor-director Orson Welles. They also spoofed Dudley Moore as usually as his character Arthur Back from the 1981 film Arthur. Despite the ratings improving, the Critic was cancelled after 2 seasons. It continued to air through reruns on Comedy Central and then on Locomotion from February 1st, 2000 to 2001. 10 webisodes were later produced using Adobe Shockwave and were broadcast on atomfilms.com and shockwave.com. In the late 2000s, reruns of the show aired again on Reel's channel in the US and Teletoon's programming block, Teletoon at Night in Canada. As of 2021, the series can be viewed free on Crackle. Adobe Shockwave, not heard from that in a while.
No.
It's a bit of a blast from the past. Fun fact, the theme music was composed by Hans Zimmer, who you will know from hundreds of movies and things like that. The Hans Zimmer, which is funny because didn't Danny Elfman do The Simpsons as well?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
So there you go, big names on those shows. Something that is pretty interesting. Maybe you've never seen The Critic, but you recognise him. That's because he featured a couple of times in The Simpsons.
Mm.
So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Just to go down, where was I? Oh boy, yes. As far as reception, The Critic received mixed to positive reviews when it first aired in 1994. The Chicago Sun-Times gave a typical review of the show with this is a quote: Jay Sherman, the eponymous culture vulture of The Critic, would undoubtedly say his new animated comedy on ABC stinks, because that was his catchphrase. Fortunately for him, it smells pretty good to me. The show has since developed a cult following, with much of it coming through the show's weekend reruns on Comedy Central. So there you go. That's it. There's the Critic for you. It stars Jon Lovitz, who you may know. Interestingly, did you know, here's a fun fact, that Jon Lovitz has a feud with comedy actor Andy Dick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, this is a bit off topic, but I thought it was quite interesting, so I'm going to include it. So Lovitz has had a long rivalry with former news radio co-star Andy Dick concerning the death of their mutual friend Phil Hartman. According to Lovitz, Dick had given Hartman's wife, Bryn, cocaine at a Christmas party at Hartman's house in 1997. Bryn, a recovering addict, began using drugs again, culminating in her killing Hartman and herself on May 28, 1998. When Lovitz joined the cast of News Radio as Hartman's replacement, he and Andy Dick got into a heated argument in which Lovitz reportedly shouted, "I wouldn't be here if you hadn't given Bryn coke in the first place." Lovitz later apologised to him for the remark, but then in early 2007, Andy Dick approached Lovitz at a restaurant and said, "I put the Phil Hartman hex on you. You're the next to die." And on July 10th, 2007, Lovitz got into a physical altercation with Andy Dick at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles. Lovitz demanded an apology from Dick, who refused and accused Lovitz of blaming him for Hartman's death. Lovitz then smashed Dick's head into the bar.
Oh.
So, pretty intense. It has nothing to do with the Critic, but there you go. Maybe you found that as interesting as I did.
Some real beef going on there.
Yeah, I can see you taken aback by that.
Yeah, just imagining the brawl of both of them just getting.
It's really intense as well. Smashes his head into the bar.
Yeah,
big time.
And they're supposed to be such jovial people.
I know, but there you go. Everything behind
the dark side of comedy.
But back to the Critic. Had you ever seen it before?
No, I don't think I had.
Interesting. I thought I had until I read that bit about The Simpsons. And I think I've just seen him on The Simpsons.
And then been like, yep, seen this guy before.
Yeah, because what was weird, I always remembered him being on TV. And it was The Simpsons watching him.
Oh, right, yeah.
I just thought that was a weird memory I had. But there you go.
No,
it's
true.
I'm sure he this might be made up, but I feel like he reviewed a McBain film.
Right. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it could also be just made up. So I put a post out this week, just seeing what people thought of it. I had a couple of replies on Instagram. So one from J360 Productions, J-Man, another J-Man.
Oh. Another beef may be beginning right now.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. So extreme, but no, J360 Productions, a supporter of the show in many ways. He's put an all-time classic laughy face. So, a fan. And then we've got the Critic Clips, which is an Instagram dedicated to the Critic. Has put, there are definitely better episodes to watch, but well done. Oh yeah, so congratulations for picking the Critic, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Not like well done to the show.
No, just that's just what he put. So I mean,
right.
I didn't
know who you were saying well done to. Like
no. He put well done to us. I wasn't just adding commentary to that.
Yeah. No, I didn't know if he meant to the Critic, like well done for doing some good episodes. And, but on whole, pretty good. Well done, guys.
Yeah.
The crew at the Critic.
Yeah, maybe that's what he means. It's a well done episode.
Yeah.
Still.
It's well done. Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So that's 2 good reviews. Okay, well, shall we dig in?
Yeah.
So it's pretty fresh to both of us.
Yeah.
I mean, it hits the ground running really with sort of a small clip of a film. So there's a few of these. This is kind of like there's just a few segments where they show clips of ridiculous films. Some of which are not that far off from what's actually happened, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'm guessing this was before and they just got it right. The one I'm thinking of is we saw a clip of Home Alone 5.
Yeah.
Now, am I right in saying there's 4 Home Alone films?
Yeah.
Is there a 5?
I don't know if there is a 5, but I don't know. If there is, it's probably, there could be a 5 somewhere, because I think they it started off big and then eventually kind of got into after Macaulay Culkin left, it just became a smaller and smaller sort of thing. So, maybe 5 is like a handy cam version like filmed in Kevin's basement or whatever, or like, you know, some other kid's basement.
They were from that era when we started to get loads of straight to video at the time.
Yeah.
And they just loved doing that for a bit, didn't they? It was like everyone was just like, I'm not bothered about the cinema. Even though they still were. And they just started making cheap sequels.
Yeah.
Now it's gone the opposite now, like they only put money into sequels.
Yeah.
So
strange.
Yeah. But there are a few funny. I think this is like, it's one of the things that makes the show what it is. It's like it's sort of stamp. It's, you know, it's one of the reasons to go into the show, I think.
Yeah.
But the one that, well, there was a couple that really made me laugh, but the Marlon Brando as a butler or something.
Yeah, that
did crack me up. It's just like, what do you want, a sandwich or something? You know, got me. That was just pretty funny.
Yeah.
You've also got the Arnie Rabbi. I can't remember what the film was called.
Yeah, Rabbi Detective or
something like that, and that was pretty good.
Yeah.
What was it? What was his catchphrase?
I can't remember. There was a couple like Terminator ones that they turned like rabbi style.
Yeah. There was some. I feel really disappointed that I've forgotten that. There's some really good little clips like that.
Yeah, they were all pretty solid, like, and just they were like little bursts as well. So like they didn't take up, you know, a good chunk of the show. It was just like, oh, this is a laugh.
Yeah,
and
they peppered the show.
Yeah, yeah.
But they are the thing that they were like sketches. They were really good.
Yeah, yeah,
really funny. And
they made sense as well because obviously, you know, he is a film reviewer, so it was like they also had a purpose at the same time.
Like the Family Guy effect. It's just crowbar in as many of these things as you can.
Yeah.
And you just have like the main character just say, "Remember that film we watched?" And then something that doesn't relate to anything.
Yeah, that's exactly how it would go down.
Yeah, that's pretty much the Family Guy way. You thank you. But the rest of the episode, it's sort of, so we follow Jay Sherman, another Jay.
I know. Oh man, rivalries all over the place.
This is heads through bars. Smash. But yeah, Jay Sherman is a critic, and so in this episode he basically falls in love with an actress who's really pretty and way out of his league, really nice, loves him for who he is, everything, you know, that he could want is there. But then it comes to, you know, reviewing her movie and she's a terrible actress.
Yeah.
It's not a particularly original storyline.
No.
We've seen it in some other form in some way. It's the classic, you know, punching above his weight storyline. But what's interesting is, I suppose, the characters. We get to meet his family.
Yeah.
He's got some very, very rich parents who adopted him.
Yeah.
And don't really, I won't say they don't like him, but have zero respect for him whatsoever.
Yeah. They were pretty funny as well, like, for saying they were only in it a little bit.
His dad's like mental.
Yeah.
But like really, there's something wrong with him. So like actually mental. It doesn't really say what's wrong with him, but you know, it's the 90s.
Yeah.
The 90s, just, you know, you were just weird.
There's a lot of 90s stuff about it, isn't there, really? Like,
yeah.
It sort of, it opens with this almost like romanticized New York.
I mean, this is New York to the max.
Yeah.
Straight away, you know you're in the 90s because it's New York.
Yeah. But, you know, there's not a lot of crime happening. Not a lot of people getting robbed and, You know,
No.
not a lot of like buses being held up or drive-bys or
But
mob shootings.
Is that like that's like early 90s, late 80s, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the rollover from the 80s has
Yeah.
disappeared, and we're in this like New York utopia.
Whereas this is mid 90s where they were trying to clean New York up a bit.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what? It's all right here, guys.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to visit, by the way, it's okay.
Yeah, this is where they started tricking kids into thinking it's the best place in the world. Do you remember as a kid, I couldn't fathom how New York City was not the capital of America.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's in everything.
That's it.
Everything's going on there.
Yeah. Going back to Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. I mean that's like a whole film that's just like one big, like, tourist guides to the city.
Yeah.
Like you want to be that kid alone in New York, just doing all those New York things that Kevin McAllister gets to do on his own.
It's strange, isn't it? It was the world, well, at least the Western world was so captivated by New York in this period.
Mm.
I wonder what it was. I guess it was like money.
Yeah.
It's where business was done. It was like, I guess it seemed like a city of the future in some ways.
It was happening. It was all happening in New York.
Everything was happening there. And the Ninja Turtles were there.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles are there. Like even the sewer system is enchanting in New York. Like even the place, like the dirtiest, grimiest place you can think of, even that's got something cool in New York.
And I'm guessing they had a lot of TV networks in New York, didn't they?
Mm.
So maybe that's a big part of it. They were just hiring people from New York.
Yeah.
They just wrote what they knew. What a crazy world it could be if, everyone was from where we were from, and it was all about small towns and small British towns where not much happens.
Yeah.
The Ninja Turtles came out of a river.
Yeah. Oh man.
And grew up in a brewery.
They just lived in a giant brewery tanker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Splinter was a monk.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of monks here. Just to clarify, this is a very old school view on where we see. This is why nothing happened. This is why cartoons aren't made here. We live here and we can't even write an accurate one.
Yeah. But you have to pull from different sources to try and make it interesting.
But yeah, I mean, it's very New York.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, but I think it is like it's like you say, it's a lighter take on the city. It's the good things about New York.
Yeah.
As opposed to the crime, the scum that he's cleaning up. I suppose a lot of the things we watch are, in some way, heroes cleaning the streets of New York. Mm. Whereas this is obviously not about someone that was mutated, an animal that was somehow mutated and then naturally went into crime fighting. He's
trying to clean up the art of America instead.
And he's very much a snob, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I read, like, one of the things that they were doing with the Critic was trying to make almost like it was like the flip side of The Simpsons. So instead of something about Homer Simpson, say, Homer Simpson is your like absolute everyman in a place like Springfield, a made up place that's supposed to resemble anywhere in America. And he's a slob and everything, whereas the Critic is about an absolute snob who's in a very specific place and thinks absolutely highly of himself. He's the opposite of Homer Simpson, essentially.
Right.
Whilst visually not being necessarily too different.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like the inverse.
Yeah, and I mean it does kind of show. It's like he's got a very different set of problems on his plate, and I guess it's probably nice to have a different perspective on things, like, and see a big city.
The two guys that did not just Simpsons, but Simpsons seasons 3 and 4, which I believe are looked upon as some of the better seasons. Not entirely sure on that, but I've got an idea that that's what people think. I don't know why. But with it being those guys, it has a certain. You don't go in. It doesn't feel like a pilot, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It feels like this is what you're going to get. It probably. I mean, all shows tend to iron out kinks that are there, but it didn't feel like too rough and ready.
No. Yeah, you were pretty much in. You kind of knew what you were in for. After like 5 minutes, you were like, okay, yeah, this is a thing. Like he's a critic. Like this is what his life's like in New York, sort of thing. Like it didn't really need much introduction. I don't think. Like it just sort of kind of delved into it pretty quickly. It's centered around him, and you get to see a lot of Jay all the way through, don't you? Really, like it doesn't really. There's no sort of side story and stuff. It's just kind of him dealing with his life. Which is good because you feel like you get to know him quite a bit in those 20 minutes already. So that's nice. None of this crazy intro business we've had before with some shows where it's just like, welcome to this and this man
living in the city of New York. Critic wanders the mean streets for the dirty, gritty New York and critiques films non-stop in a never-ending war against crime.
It's rife in New York. They should have called it New Crime because there's a new one every 12 seconds.
Yeah, it does. What's good is it does introduce everything you need to know without, like, if you just saw this on TV, you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, this is the first episode.
Yeah.
But cleverly, it introduces you to him, his family, his son, what happened with his, ex-wife.
Yeah.
Who he is, the fact that, he's an absolute, pretty much a loser, but thinks he's not.
Yeah.
It's just, you get it all from it, and you meet I think you meet a lot of the characters that will pop up through that. So like his hair and makeup artist who just is spraying his like straddly hairs at the top of his head. The guy that he goes to the same restaurant. And the guy there is like a bit of a, like the waiter is clearly a character.
Yeah.
His boss, who's very much like a yuppie type guy. What is interesting and really dates it is when he first starts going out with this actress. She talks about how she like, it's almost like saying how she's big because she used to date Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Which really puts her in a completely different light nowadays.
Yeah.
To it did then.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's got some weird little sort of very timely things about it, because there's a moment where they're outside Trump Tower as well, isn't there? And obviously, like we see a lot of like the Twin Towers and stuff as well, like in the sort of cityscape shots and stuff. There's just like a few things that you're like, oh man, this was in a time before.
And it was very much a time where I guess things were getting better. Things seemed like they were leveling off. you know, we could be in a world where there's zero war ever.
Yeah.
And you know, we've got Captain Planet, so we probably won't, like, pollution won't be a thing because there's cartoons about it.
Yeah.
And you know, that means that it won't be when we're older.
Mm.
How things changed.
Oh man. Yeah. How quickly the time had turned.
Yeah. No one listened.
No.
The tears of Captain Planet. Soon. But yeah, I mean, going back to this, I think it did have a really. The story was. It was well done.
Mm. Yeah, quite right. Yeah.
As the critic clip said, it was well done. And it was well put together, and it was funny.
Yeah.
I laughed quite a few times.
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah.
Was there anything you'd say that really you didn't get on with?
I think it was just, I think my main gripe was the story with this episode was that you know, he meets this woman who's like everything he could ask for and more, and she's supposedly sticking around because she loves him for him, and then when he finally releases his film review, then she leaves.
Yeah. And it was really, that was the one thing that I would have said as well. And do you know what, like, fair enough, you kind of knew it was going to happen anyway, so whatever. But it was just the fact that I wasn't sure if she was just with him for the review or if she did actually like him.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I take it she didn't, but I still wasn't sure.
Yeah, it seemed weird that they had so many moments where she was like, you know, proving herself of like, you know, this is, I know I actually do like him, or whatever. Like she met his family and all that, and like had this moment with his sister or whatever. Like, it was like, oh no, you know, this is why I like him, like, you know. And then it was like, oh, then she just left immediately. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe that's weird. Yeah. I was just kind of expecting her to be a, you know, maybe like a long-term character or something. Like maybe it's just my expectations, but yeah, I thought that was kind of odd almost to try and sort of subvert the expectations of like what, and you know, what the sort of Hollywood actress kind of is like, and then immediately like going back to it on the end and being like, oh yeah, they just want a good review, they just want good press.
And I mean, I guess it's another sign of the times where, I mean, it's pretty sexist, really. And it's funny, obviously now we're getting older, and you know, the past is actually the past and not just like 2 weeks ago. Like, you remember what it was like then, to a degree. I mean, we were kids, we were pretty young, but you remember how like sexism existed then, but not, it's always like in the past. And all these issues now that they are really bringing to light in every day, you know, stuff that you don't even realize you're doing, that always, and it's come up a few times, we've mentioned it, but it always makes me think, like, what are we doing now that tomorrow, in you know, the metaphorical sense, we're going to be like, I can't believe we still thought then that we were.
Yeah.
Because now you look back at this and it's like, actually, yeah, it's pretty, you know, just the whole idea is like, oh yeah, she's so pretty and she likes him. That's like the only things really. Like, we don't learn anything about her. Just that she's pretty and she likes him, so that makes her perfect. Which, you know, that's just not the case. That's not. They wouldn't do that now, I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, things still do. Depends what it is. So, but you know, we're starting to understand that that's sexist now. Whereas, you know, it clearly just no one cared. About that then. It's just like, as long as you say a woman can work, then you're okay. That was like 90s 90s way of not being sexist, I guess. But again, just to sort of point out, as we always have to, it was the 90s when this was made.
Yeah.
It's weird. I guess it comes from reviewing stuff every week, but it's weird how you have to take those kind of things into like TV and stuff. I guess because it's kind of fairly fresh. Like, imagine if they were making TV in the medieval times. How bizarre it would be.
Oh man, some real hit shows would be out of that. Welcome to sunny New York, where around every corner there is crime waiting to jump upon you. Crime. Dark, dirty, seedy, nasty crime waiting to grab you in the shadows.
Not just crime, but grime. And amongst the shadows are hundreds of angry homeless people. Homeless people that have had a hard time in life, but now they're criminals because it's grimy, crimey New York City.
It's grime time because they have nothing, but now you have nothing because you are on your way to work and you got robbed because it's crime time. Oh,
Crime time.
Crime time. What time is it? It's crime time. It's lunchtime. It's crime time. You're getting a New York slice at the deli. It's pizza time. You're going to get a slice of cheese and look at that mozzarella. Oh, mamma mia. And just as you're about to bite in, someone steals it from your very hands because crime is waiting around every single corner, and it's even inside the deli.
And who is it? It's the mob. The mob take everything from you. They break your legs. They break your shins. They break your feet. They break your legs, shins, and feet. You can't walk anymore because the mob were there. The mob are all over New York, and they're taking your slices. Mamma mia, and good night, Pizziola.
How are you going to walk? You can't walk. You're crawling because the mob took everything from you. You crawl into the gutters, into the sewers, down, down, deep into the underbelly of New York, where there's turtles waiting to have a good time. And they've also got a slice that they stole from somebody else. So they're going to break the top half of you now because crime has no end.
That's right. You get on the train, you get mugged. You go to work, you get mugged. You go home, you get mugged. You get mugged at home, you get mugged in your bed. And then you go out in the morning again and get mugged. You're mugging someone and you're getting mugged. Everyone is mugged.
Everyone is mugged, and New York City's finest are waiting to book every criminal on the streets. So if you're mugging, you're getting booked. If you're reading
Okay, so here at Toon Jam, we have a 3-point rating system that goes as follows. Thumbs up, Haga Nagiva, baby. That was the quote I couldn't remember earlier. That made me laugh. Thumbs down. Sexism in the 90s, man, and today, always thumbs down. And shaky middle, New York City. Is it good or is it bad? We just don't know. The 90s won't tell us.
No.
So what that really means is good, bad, I'm not really sure. Or I'm in the middle on it. So, okay, The Critic, your thoughts?
I think it was a pretty enjoyable show overall. Like, especially for a pilot as well. Like, you're fairly comfortable from the get-go. We get to know the characters and their environment. You get to see a different style of New York than we're used to. It is a pretty kind of it's a sitcom really. Like, it's pretty comfortable in that New York isn't all crime and grime. you know, his biggest problem is like, you know, the worst film he's probably got to watch that week. It's you know, a fairly kind of, like we've said, like a romanticized version of it. And it's fun to watch because it is full of jokes. And I mean, you know, if you like film and stuff like that, you're gonna enjoy all the little digs they take at, you know, actors or directors or films or whatever. Like there's a lot to sort of laugh at. And I mean, I laughed even at the points, you know, even the rest of it was funny, like just his family having dinner. A lot of that made me laugh as well. Like it was genuinely enjoyable. And I mean, he's, as a character, you know, he's not the he's not the jock, is he? He's not like the big handsome guy or whatever. So it's interesting to sort of see, you know, how they sort of compete in a, you know, hyper flashy sort of city or whatever. Like, you know, he's got his thing, which is him being smart, which is essentially sort of what they point to on this episode. And sort of him navigating the world is pretty interesting and pretty funny. And yeah, I think I'd watch more because, you know, happy to see more silly film spoofs, see Jay do his thing and just live in that perfect style 90s New York that it portrays. So yeah, for me, I think it's going to be a thumbs up. Fully enjoyable.
Okay, yeah, I agree. It was, I mean, the big thing, like you say, it's funny throughout. The movie spoofs are, you know, particularly good.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't take away from the fact that the rest of it is also funny as well. It is funny throughout. But like I say, those movie spoofs, I think they just tip it to something that is extra funny, and it works so well. Like it just fits in, and it gives it that frame for it almost. And something we didn't really talk about is the sort of the voice acting, which is all pretty good too. There's nothing bad to say about it really. He is perfect for that role.
Yeah.
Jay's John Lovitz, is that right?
Yeah.
I feel like I've lost the plot with it a bit. But yeah, but yeah, all the voice acting was really good, convincing. The lines were delivered well, funny. The art style, though, I suppose it kind of has a touch of The Simpsons in a way. It clearly isn't the same.
No.
But it's his own thing. I can't think of many other things that are too close. But it also is one of those shows, I guess, that sort of defined that genre. Because you can see things since, and they do, like nowadays especially, they tend to look the same, like adult animated comedies.
Yeah.
To a degree, there's a lot of Adult Swim stuff we watch that is obviously well off beat, but when it comes to especially Fox ones and mainstream ones, they tend to all look a bit like Family Guy. Maybe that's just because what's his name that does Family Guy?
Yeah.
His name is escaped.
I've completely forgotten his name as well now. I have some sort of weird amnesia that spreads just by listening to this episode.
But he does everything. Maybe that's why. Maybe that he is like, it's all like Family Guy, American Dad, the Cleveland Show. So it's going to look the same. But yeah, it has an original look to it and an original feel as well. The only thing I would liken it to, other than The Simpsons, because obviously the humour is very similar, but is Frasier. It has a sort of Frasier feel to it. The character's similar. He's like a loser Frasier sort of thing. And a less successful Frasier in life. But yeah, so yeah, I too am a thumbs up. I like Frasier. I like Simpsons. I like this. Thumbs up all around.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Another good week. That's 2 in a row we've had 2 thumbs up.
Nice.
So hopefully the streak will continue.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it enlightened you on the Critic, or you agreed with it. And maybe you didn't. Maybe you were like, you guys, you know the Critic, it stinks. And here's why. You can let us know on the 3 crimey grimes of the internet, or grimy crimes should I say, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at ToonJamPod. Get in touch with us. Let us know. We always like to hear what you think. Otherwise, you can head over to get some bonus episodes at our Patreon. That's patreon.com/ToonJamPod. Or you can get some Toon Jam merchandise. That's right, merchandise over at bit.ly/Toon Jam Shop. Check it out. There's some fun stuff on there. I'm sure you'll, as a fan, I'm sure you'll love it. So yeah, check it out. Otherwise, if you just want to help us out, feel free to rate and review us on whatever it is you listen to. It really, really helps us out. It helps people find us, and it's free. Costs you nada. So that's super helpful. Otherwise, just all we've got to say is thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, you stay jammy.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to help the show keep going, you can be extra jammy by heading over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/ToonJamPod. Here you can get a shout out on the show or unlock bonus episodes. Ratings and reviews anywhere you listen to the podcast also really help us out. So thank you and stay jammy.